Gonna do a quick read. Feeling a lot more calm today than I have been. I was actually just listening back to my other videos, and it's been a wild ride. I'm not gonna lie. And you know, a lot of these times, these videos become a little bit like a diary, because I'm just talking to myself, really. So it'd be funny to, you know, for people to see my videos and then actually meet me in person. I'm not as intense, but whatevs. It is what it is. Go with the flow. I'm gonna set this theme. Trying to decide. Trying to figure out where I'm at, man. What, you know? Trying to anchor into this new timeline that we're in. We just shifted. Okay, so I got rest and rejuvenate, and then destiny on its side came out and landed right on top of it. So there's something having to do with asking us to rest and rejuvenate in order to connect with that destiny path. And then the card sacrifice came out, and it actually landed on the floor, and my hat is on the floor. So maybe we need to sacrifice the hats that we're wearing. Yeah, that makes sense. Like the different hats that we're wearing, the different, you know, and it's funny how I just said, I was talking about on these videos, you know, I don't normally, sometimes I'll watch them, but a lot of times I just film them and then get on with my day. It's funny to watch them because I don't realize how intense my delivery is sometimes. I'm just kind of in the motion. And then when I'm already kind of like, you know, I just moved, things have been intense in my own life. And so when I get on there and it's like a diary entry almost, because like I said, I'm just talking to the camera. I realize, wow, yeah, I mean, I'm a little intense there, but it'd be funny if people saw me in normal life. I'm not like that. Unless I'm like in an argument or like in a situation to where I'm in my power and I have something to say. I'm not actually normally like that. So I'm going through that whole thing, and then for this to fall into the hat, it's like, what, or maybe it's what are we sacrificing? What are we sacrificing in order to keep us from our destiny, maybe? And then, and I don't know how that all correlates, but whatever. And then next is the heart chakra. So maybe we're being asked to, instead of wearing all these hats and letting our energy distract us from our destiny, the path that we can access through this rest and rejuvenation. I don't even remember what I was saying right now. Okay. In order for us, when we sacrifice our destiny to wear all these different hats, to play all these different roles, we are keeping ourselves, it's almost simultaneously keeping us from our heart chakra. Because, if we're fully in our heart, we're also in our authentic essence. So, and then this is saying when we can come at life from this heart center and not sacrifice our role as to what our destiny, what we're meant to be living, this is, we cannot access this financial material change. Like, it's, I don't know what my deal is right now. I need to just breathe for a minute. Our destiny is going to be shown to us through our rest and rejuvenation. And we're being asked where we need to sacrifice the different hats that we wear in order to come at life from a heart-centered place. And once we do this, this financial and material wealth will then pour into us. And this is where the building blocks can begin. And it's through the messages that we receive, maybe through the synchronicities, the guidance, the internal guidance, the pattern recognition, the messages from our guides, because we are acting from a place, I have paint on my fingers. We're acting from a place of loyalty. And this is loyalty to our destiny. And this actually landed right on top of heart chakra, and it's loyal heart. So that's not a coincidence. So the heart-centered energy is very important. Staying true to what we know and what we know we're here to do. And, this is so important because in order to be authentic in the world, we have to be in alignment with who we are in all areas. And once we do this, chaos and conflict. Once we do this, we can avoid chaos and conflict. once we're in alignment. Yeah. It's number 33, master number. What else? Here and now. So, in order to receive, and this actually fell right beneath message in a bottle. So, in order to receive the messages, we have to be present. And we all know that being present consists of us also being able to break down those walls that are keeping us from being present. So being, when we don't want to look inside because of different reasons, when we're pushing those thoughts of maybe I need to change jobs, or maybe I need to do this in order to be in my authenticity, and we're pushing that away, that keeps us away from being present and raw within ourselves. And then we got to the sea and co-create in reverse. Oops. Oh, that just landed upright. I think it's supposed to be upright. Okay, so being present, being willing to go on the journey, and being willing to co-create, and that landed, or that is beneath the chaos and conflict. And so that just goes in line with being the alchemist, co-creating the beauty from the chaos. So being able to take a mess and turn it into something beautiful. And you can even compare that to like a puzzle. Because when you get the puzzle and it's a chaotic mess, it's not going to look like the picture it's meant to be. It's going to be chaos. And we got to find the pieces, and we got to strategize, and, let's build the external part of the puzzle first in order to find the pieces inside that work. And so when we see chaos or things seem overwhelming, instead of running from them, we need to break it down into systems. So either co-creating with the universe, or literally co-creating with people around us. And instead of looking at the whole picture, or instead of focusing on the chaos, so all the little pieces that don't make sense at the beginning, we step back and we begin to look at how we can put the pieces together. Where do we need to begin? And that goes in line with what I was talking about the other day about Pallas Athena, the asteroid that's in, what's it, in Aries? I don't remember now. But basically, no, it was connected to the moon. Yeah, it was connected to the full moon portal, the 8/8 portal, and the full moon. So Pallas Athena is all about strategy and, looking at things stepping back, being the observer, seeing how we can break down systems in order to make them make sense. And obviously this takes flexibility, because if we're not flexible, then what's the opposite of flexible? Being rigid. And when you're rigid, you're not going to want to explore, and you're not going to want to go to see, right? You're going to feel comfortable in your routines, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think when it's keeping you from stepping into your destiny, it's something to consider, fork in the road. So being flexible, as we're co-creating, we're being asked to be flexible with the choices that we make, because it's not a linear path, and sometimes choices we make will take us in a different direction, and we may feel like it's completely far away, or it's taking us from where we're meant to be. But if we're trusting in the process, and we realize, if we look at our life as a puzzle, you don't always just work from one corner to the whole thing. Maybe some people do, but most of the time you're just finding the pieces and you're putting them where they go, right? This corner, that corner, and then as it builds, it creates the picture. So it's like, we can think of it in our lives as like a whole 360 view. So, sometimes when we're in that chaos and conflict, and we are co-creating either with the universe or with others, we're being asked to be flexible in that process and realize that the choices that we make, if we're focused on what we're building, these building blocks, and we're coming at it from the heart, we're trusting that it's taking us to where we need to go, which in turn is the path that we're on for the destiny that we're here to achieve. Regeneration. And through that process, we are constantly regenerating. Those are those ego deaths and the coming back to life and accessing new parts of ourselves, because sometimes we have to break in order to build new. Sometimes the things that feel so painful, or and like that throw you off of your destiny or your purpose, they feel wrong. They feel like, well, I must not be in line because this hurts too much. When in reality, if you didn't go through that, then you wouldn't have the chance to regenerate. You wouldn't have the chance to become something new. And that's what life is all about, right? It's about making choices, learning from them, and then getting back on track. Time for a nap in reverse. So we're being asked to So the reading starts with rest and rejuvenate, but then it's like ending with time for a nap in reverse. So maybe as we're it's like an active resting. An active resting where we're receiving rather than doing. So, it's like a lot of the times in religion, you're taught to pray to God about certain things, to ask for things, to thank God for things, to bless other people in your life. But a lot of the times we're not taught to sit and listen. And that's that yin energy that's been coming up a lot in these readings. I just looked at the clock and it was 21:22. I don't know why that caught my eye, but yeah, 22 is the master number. So it's the number of mastery. So it's like we're moving from 21 to 22. We are stepping into that mastery by balancing out the yin and the yang. So now we're learning to have this active resting, because it's not time to just sleep, but it is time to rest. So I feel like there's something culminating. There's something building up, and we're being asked to maybe just, because when you are strategizing and when you are building new opportunities and new things, a lot of times if we're in a hurry, and I know like some of my readings that even the last one I did, it ended with, time's up. Like, we don't have time. We need to do this now. And I think that obviously there's a reason why that's delivered. But then at the same time, now that we know that it's time, we're being guided on how to handle that. So it's not just, it's, time's up or time's running out, so I just really need to figure this out. I don't have a plan. What is my strategy? I don't even know where to start, It's more like, okay, so yes, it's time. But now go within, get in that rested, meditative, mindfulness quality. Don't go to sleep though, right? It's not time for a nap. It's time to regenerate, and it's time to decide. It's time to look at the pieces. So look at our lives, all the different patterns, the themes. Where are our wounds? Because a lot of the times our wounds, when we're healing, are always going to come up for us to see and send love to, but they're also the place where we can help others. They are the wounded healer. Where was I not? What could I have used while I was going through this painful time? What did I need? And then becoming that for others. So just start, I think that's what this reading is saying, like coming at it from a heart place, a heart-centered place. And as we're moving and like figuring out what our path is, yes, it is time, but realizing that there's a difference between that yin and yang energy, and you need both, so it's going to constantly oscillate. It's, because once you've gained clarity in a certain area, then the universe is going to be like, okay, green light, get going on that. And then they're going to pull back, and it's the universe knows, they see everything. So it's like when you are co-creating with the universe, they are going to help you move forward. They're going to help you shift. They're going to help you, move. It's like that game, Chutes and Ladders or something, I think. And it's not going to make sense all the time. But then it does make sense when you look back and be like, whoa, that took me on a whole ride. But I guess what I want to ask is, where can we begin? So we know we need to begin with coming at it from a heart-centered place, being open to realizing that when we're finding our path, it's going to look chaotic, and being willing to be flexible and trusting in the process. So letting go of that control that we've been so used to having, and realizing that there's going to be these forks in the road. And as long as we have our heart open, and as long as we know where we're going, it's going to take us to where we need to be. Yeah, poised. And when I think of poised, I just think of somebody that is, it's like comparing two powerful people in a room. One's very boisterous and loud and intense, and then another one is holds just as much power, but it's more contained and it's more focused and ready to go. And there's nothing wrong with either or, but this makes sense for this reading. And I think this reading is also for me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this may just totally be my reading, and I'm happy with where I am, and I'm happy with my journey, and I know that everything I've done and the way that I've communicated has been exactly what I've needed to do. And but like I said, it's chutes and ladders, right? We're constantly being sent in different directions and being asked to regenerate and rejuvenate, rest and rejuvenate. We're shown different things, like, okay, you're delivering, you are in your purpose, but now that you've gotten there, what can you do? What can you tweak? And not look at things like they're bad or negative, but just use that as stepping stones. What have you learned, and where are you going now? Yeah, and then stepping into your new life. This is how you do it. I'm really thankful right now for this peace I'm feeling, because I haven't felt very peaceful, and it feels different, and it feels nice. And I'm taking this as confirmation for my own path, that I'm stepping into a new energy, that I'm stepping into this new timeline, and I can anchor in with the chaos, the intensity, and from there, I can move in a direction that fits in line with my purpose and my destiny. And so I just pulled these cards, and sorrow is in reverse. So it's the Three of Swords, and Princess of Cups is in reverse. Don't be sorrowful over these emotions that we have along the way, because they're coming from a limited space. We're alchemizing and we're integrating past wounds, and we're moving them into wisdom. And I don't think that's ever going to look pretty for anybody, because when you're learning to become something new, you don't just switch from one to the other. It's a bridge. So we're having to bridge those wounds in with the wisdom. And the wisdom only comes from going through that process. And, I think of these celebrities and how they've had to go through these changes and stuff in the public eye, and how hard that is for them, because it's like they're getting scrutinized, while really, and some of them are not, I don't want to say great people, but we all know what's happened in Hollywood and all that stuff. But I'm more talking about like the kids that have started in these systems, and they have to go through that process of growing up in the public eye and being scrutinized along the way, and people watching their transformations from childhood to adulthood. And when I got this Princess of Cups in reverse, it just reminded me, it's like of that young mentality, because when we are becoming the master, we're not just born into being a master. We have to go through the process. And so we're moving from these less organized, chaotic places, and we're putting the pieces together. And so we're being asked not to be so hard on ourselves in that process, and to just learn from it and be the observer. And that is going to be how we can complete the old cycles. So instead of looking at those things as negative and, continuing that teeter-totter mentality of good and bad, this is where I belong because these are the decisions I made, or this is how I handled this. We're being asked to step out and be the observer of how we handled things or how we voiced things. And as we do that without judgment, we can complete that cycle in order for us to have this new passionate beginning for our purpose, passionate beginning for our destiny that we're moving into. To deliver those emotions in a more stable, clear, deliberate way. The Prince of Cups. I never noticed this card. It has, the Prince of Cups has a snake charmer. He's like speaking to the snake. And it's being held within the cup right in front of his heart. So, and the snake reminds me of, the rejuvenation process. The snake sheds its skin. And so, using that yang energy, it's so perfect with everything else. It's like using the yang energy, so the resting, the opposite of taking a nap, which is the active rejuvenation. So it's like looking at this new person that we're becoming. The snake is also in line with the Kundalini. So it's, that energy moving through the body and awakening. Having compassion for ourselves in that process of change, and being in our emotions, but not in this Princess of Cups in reverse energy, which is just letting it all out and being completely just letting it all out, really. And not like containing it. This is more wait. What the heck? I don't know how that happened. I had this card and then all of a sudden I had this card. I must have switched them for some reason. This is the Knight of Cups. Okay. And the Knight... Okay, so interesting. The Knight is more grounded, right? Because he's on the horse. And I was talking about this originally. So the Prince of Cups is riding on the wings. So we come into this place trusting our heart and observing that shedding of the old and coming at it from the observer rather than, judging it. And then we become the knight. and we ground it in, and we're still holding the cup, but it's more grounded in the real world. So, and he's still got his wings, and the horse is jumping into the air, but oh, and then we got the peacock. And the peacock does its little dance. It's like, I think of it as like the masculine, and you know, peacocks, like the male peacock is the one that's the beautiful one. The females, just like everything in the natural world, they don't have all the beautiful feathers. There's a connection between the ground and the air. So we're anchoring those things that we've learned from this process, and we're delivering it with intention in a more grounded sense with our emotions. And it just shows none of it's bad or good. It's just part of the journey. Yeah. And that balance, recognizing what is needed without judgment, what's needed in order to be completed and to begin this new cycle. By seeing that and realizing that it is just a journey and that it's all meant to be built off of each other, that is what is going to bring in this Three of Cups abundant energy. Yeah. And then the delivery of the words with this Queen of Swords energy. So we're oscillating. It's like the reading is showing, you know, we're going from maybe a more shadow place of our emotions, and we move into the more grounded sense of our emotions. And as we're moving into this abundant energy, then we're able to share it from the heart. Well, maybe not as much from the heart. I mean, we are in our heart because we have all these cups energy. We have the Princess of Cups, Prince of Cups, and Knight of Cups. But then we're moving from the heart into the throat, into the voice, into the delivery of words and thoughts, the communication. Yeah. And then we begin as this Princess of Wands energy, which is what we are being told we're going to have, right? At the top row right here. It's like we know that we're completing that old cycle in order to get this new start. But then we're being shown through these other cards, the Prince of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the Three of Cups, lots of cups. And then it moves into the bridging of the sword energy, so the communication, either delivering communication or receiving it. And then from there, then we can begin start creating in this Princess of Wands energy. I just looked at the clock and it was 4440. And then just now 4444. So lots of fours. Wow. What does that mean? So we begin this new cycle as, with our words and beginning this new passion, the delivery of passion. So we're expressing with passion. But then I have Knight of Wands and Ten of Wands. So it's like Princess of Wands moving into this Knight of Wands that has been oppressed. Give me more on this. So gain. And success. Okay. So the Princess of Wands, the feminine is yin energy. It's passionate. It's creative. It's hot. And then once we're there, because we move from the masculine energies of emotion into abundance, then this Queen of Swords energy of delivery with mastery in words and communication, and then this Princess of Wands energy of feeling like a new beginning in this passion that we have. And then the Knight of Wands, the delivery, the masculine delivery. Maybe this is what so the masculine delivery of what has been oppressed within us and then sharing what we've gained from that process in order to achieve success. And the Lovers, merging the two. So this is more like the Lovers. I'm in this reading, I'm seeing it more as like the balance. It's that balance between the yin and yang, balance between the feminine and masculine, and then going through the process of that, and then getting into the center, integrating all of it, turning what has been. That's when the Knight of Wands, the delivery of the passion, is alchemizing that oppression into what has been gained from it. And this is where that success happens. And this is where the merging begins. Wow. So then what happens after that? Strength. Art. lust. And this new beginning, Ace of Swords, so new beginning in communication and like all that has been, this has been building up to after worry and disappointment. That is the key. So, and when this lust card, this is just ultimate passion. So it's like finding strength in that alchemy. So not judging yourself, not judging your emotions, but alchemizing them, which is the merging of the two hemispheres of the brain. It's the logic and the emotional side. And this is how these new beginnings and being in our destiny happens. Prince of Wands. So, all right, I think that's it. And I'm right along on this journey with everybody else. So, best of luck out there on this crazy ride that we're on.